So to stick in the boning channels, again because I had this fabric with this pattern on it, which was a scrap that I used, I couldn't really mark too clearly where the boning channels are supposed to go and transfer from the pattern paper, which you could do with either a pencil or other pattern drafting materials. So I used a regular piece of chalk and made my best guess. And then I have these twill tape, also from my own laziness because I ran out of boning channel tape. And this gives me a guideline of the exact width to do. The bones are these really lightweight steel laminated things, and there are two types. They come in a 1/4 inch width, 1/2 inch width, and these spring steel ones, which are kind of like big long slinkies, and they have a little more flexibility but still give you some strength. And bones are not really there to squeeze you in. It's there to keep the corset's shape when it goes through the stress of being tightened around your torso. I also ran out of some twill tape, so I had some just regular bias tape, just anything that was that exact 1/4 inch width to give me an idea of where my boning channels would be. The actual bones are going to stick in between the lining layer and the outside fabric layer. So these tapes are pretty much there just to, eyeball it and show me where my pretty lines are supposed to go so they all line up. You see the 1/4 inch bones stick in where things go straight, and the 1/2 inch bone, I just used one of them up the back because they generally don't give you a lot of flexibility. These are cable ties, big long ones, and those are my place markers for where I'm going to need to order more supplies off the internet. And I used what you measure. Oh, here's my cheat sheet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 12 bones on each panel, so 24 bones total. And I number them 1 to 12, and that's what the cable ties are there as space markers. And the bone should not extend all the way down to the bottom. It should be just a little bit short of there, maybe a 1/4 inch up from the 1/4 inch stabilizing seam I did at the bottom of the corset, and maybe about a 1/2 inch from the top. And that's the length of the bone you need for each boning channel. And it's important to measure both sides in each channel individually. You don't know if something got off by even a 1/4 inch. So now that I've got some from the internet, yay, I saw this tip, and it really helps to use plumber's tape on the end of these spiral boning, because my lining fabric, again being this loose cotton, it started snagging, and I was very sad about that. So I saw this tip to put a little bit of plumber's tape just around the tip end, and that made them slide into the boning channels a lot easier. And you're gonna have to watch me do the other side. Here we go. And this is this very filmy stuff you use on plumbing, on faucets. It's very thin tape, barely makes any difference, but it does help that end not snag in the fabric. So then when I go to slide it into the boning channel, which is again going in between the lining and the outside fabric, and that very light twill tape is just, that was my guideline for where my channels are. And it took a little bit of convincing to get it to slide in there, because it is kind of a little bit of a flippy floppy, those spiral ones. And it got stuck on that waist tape just a little bit. You have to convince it to get past there. And you do a little more convincing. There it goes. And I have these little surgical pincers that then help me, put it the rest of the way down into the channel, because my fingers are obviously not that small. And that helps control, just how deep I want to put it down into there. And it should be even top and bottom approximately. And of course you can kind of fuss with it, make sure it's in there just right, about where you want it to be. And then I can trim off the edges of those tape or trim any extra threads, make sure the top and the bottom are even. Of course, the straight bows slide in a lot easier. Those are laminated and they just slide right in. And here I am showing exactly where it goes in between the lining and the outside fabric.